Welcome to the Ms. Wonderful Film Club podcast. I'm your host, Jana Marie Rose, and my best friend, Katie McGraw, is joining me again today to talk about a special film, Legally Blonde, which stars Reese Witherspoon. And this is a special day that we're doing this on because it is the day of the Super Bowl. And I'm going to be calling this post Legally Green. Katie, you're frozen on my screen.
I know. I don't know what happened.
Well, as long as I can hear you, it's so
Yes, you can
weird.
still
I
hear
just
me.
think your bedroom isn't the best place for your Wi-Fi. It's just Wi-Fi is not working in your bedroom so well.
It usually does, though.
You're so frozen. It's weird to talk to your voice and just see a frozen picture of you.
Hmm.
At some point, you're going to come back to life, and then we're just going to talk like normal people. I'm surprised you couldn't hear my keyboard playing the drum from this
I
microphone.
know.
There's so many odd little technological snafus that occur in life.
Yes. Oof.
I don't know. Maybe just having my own radio station would be better. Remember, that's how we started hanging out, was that I had a radio program called the
Yes,
Janorama Show.
of course.
And you came on and we had our microphones hanging from the ceiling. It was really fun.
Were they? I don't even remember that.
Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't like real, literally from the ceiling, but I'm pretty sure they came out of some place that was not the console in front of us. Like they were hanging. Weren't they hanging? I think they were hanging. It was
You would know better
cool
than me.
because you have like that thing where they're hanging and you're talking. That's the authentic radio station experience. Don't you
Well,
think?
yes, it was very college radio,
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah. And the song I remember playing on record, I don't know why. Like I don't every week I got very excited about what songs I was going to play. I would think about them. I would dream about the radio station and I would have stress dreams that something would happen and I couldn't get to the radio station in time for my show.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stress dreams about that. I don't know why, but because like I mean, what were there 15 people listening? So no one would have been like really horrified.
We don't know. We don't have the numbers.
We don't have the numbers. But I remember playing that song, Bomb Diggity. Do you remember that song?
Yes.
No Diggity. No, it's not
It
Bomb
was no
Diggity.
diggity. Yeah.
It was
No
No
dig-
Diggity, but our friend used the word Bomb Diggity, so I used to get them confused because anything that was cool, she said that's the Bomb Diggity, and but
Yes.
the album or the song was No Diggity.
Yes. Who sang it?
I'm just looking this up because I'm like I should know this. Oh, Blackstreet.
Oh,
Blackstreet. It was a good song.
way
Um,
back.
can you sing it?
No. I mean, I can just remember it where it's like, dun, dun, no
No
diggity.
diggity.
Like, I don't.
You got to bag it up. Is it bag it up or back it up? I don't know. I could never. I'm not
Oh, bag it up. I think it's bag it up.
bag it up, not
Gotta
back it
bag it
up.
up.
What does bag it up mean? What did that even mean?
I don't know.
You know.
Drugs, sex.
Wait. Oh.
It could be a couple things.
Wait. I'm looking this up too now.
Is it actually back it up?
Bag it up. Oh Jesus! This is horrible. This is horrifying. We are two innocent white women having this conversation, and it makes sense that we would fall into this trap. It is they can't have meant this. They are not like this is not
Tell
real,
me.
right? Bag it up is a slang word for covering a girl's face while having sexual intercourse with them. Don't tell me
That didn't occur to me at
Blackstreet is
all.
doing.
Oh my God.
Wait. You need to be unfrozen on this screen. It's so weird. Okay, so hold on, wait. I want to find out, is this the actual lyric? Because I'm really hoping it's back it up because that makes me upset. I'm a mom
That
now.
is very
I don't
upsetting.
want anybody listening to this kind of music. Wait, no diggity. All right, song lyrics. Give me I don't know. I'm getting a little worried when no doubt. Yeah, I don't know. This is not a song I want children listening to. I'm sorry.
Well, of
I don't
course.
I don't approve And it is, unfortunately, Bag It Up.
See,
She's
but I
got
really would have thought
classes.
drugs or something.
Yeah,
That was
maybe
like
it
best case
changed. I mean, what
scenario.
year was this? This was 1996. So maybe there was,
Oh, high school.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm like really naive to that stuff. I don't know that stuff.
I had no idea.
And I don't mind that I don't know that stuff because I want to sleep at night. If I'm thinking about all the crazy stuff people are doing in P. Diddy's house and whatnot and other places that we don't know, I don't want to know.
No, I
That's
agree.
why I wear wigs for fun and I play my keyboard and I don't play it well. And that's my fun, you know? That's like how I have fun. I dress up in
Yes.
wigs and make podcasts and don't know all the bad things that are being done and said. Um, Let me do a little trivia for you for Legally Blonde. You're still
Okay.
frozen. You're still frozen.
I
This is
am.
odd.
I'm
Yeah.
moving in my thing. I can see you fine and
Yeah. But,
myself.
I mean, your beautiful face is still there. I'm looking at a still picture of you.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I'm moving right now. And I can see me moving.
Well, I'll just imagine you moving. It's nice to imagine it.
Yes.
Imagine what you would look like if you were moving in my Zoom screen. Okay, here are three trivia questions I came up with for you who knows a lot about movies and
We'll see.
superstars and stuff. What year did the movie Legally Blonde come out?
Oh, well, I saw it. So 2001.
Oh, you looked ahead. Okay. It's a special year.
No,
That's
I
the
mean,
year.
when I hit the play button on it, it says it.
Yeah. That's the year we graduated.
I know.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I wanted to see if you knew. Okay, there is a new film with Reese Witherspoon called "You're Cordially Invited." Who is her male co-star?
Will Ferrell.
Of course, you would know. Okay, how long did you know that information? Because I only found that out 2 days ago.
I don't know, the past week. I
Did you
think I
watch
saw
it?
an interview with him or something.
Did you see that movie?
No, I haven't seen the
Okay.
movie.
Okay. Last question. What is Reese's book club's name?
Hmm. Isn't it just Reese's Book Club?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Is it?
It was a little. Yes, it is. I was a trick. It was kind of a trick
Like
question.
trying to fake me out.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was. And it's women's stories. How about that? How much do we love that?
We love
Women's
it a lot.
stories. We love it a lot. Okay. So part of the reason that we talked about discussing Legally Blonde was that you suggested it because I was kind of thinking about films that meshed with the book that I wrote for young women, and Legally Blonde is about a young woman. And there's a lot of really fun comedies about women figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Clueless is another one that I think is really fun,
It
where
does
it,
closely align with Clueless as a
yeah,
movie too. Just the like montages and
yeah, and the LA
blondness.
scene, like the LA scene, and
Hmm.
they both come from wealth. Um, and
Yes.
and Cher in Clueless is a daughter of a lawyer, whereas in this one, Elle is becoming a lawyer. Oh, and here's the other thing I was thinking with this that lines up. When we were in college, we would always watch that show Felicity. Um,
Yes.
and Felicity goes from, this is a common motif, I guess. She goes from California all the way to New York, right to the East Coast to
Yes.
follow this boy she likes. And Elle essentially in this movie goes from California to the East Coast, in this case, Boston, to follow a boy she likes. I'm like, oh my gosh, same kind of story.
Yes. Well, it's a common trope, I guess.
Is it a common thing for women to do though? Like,
I don't know how common, but I think it probably happens more that way than the other way around, where the guy's following the girl
yeah,
or the husband is following the wife because of her work. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it just seems like, at least in movies and things, it's usually the other way around.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I remember when Felicity came out and we were in college and I was just against it. I was like, I am not going to watch this show. I can't believe she's following a guy to go to college. And then of course I watched it and I loved it. And it's one of my favorite shows ever.
I mean, peak WB.
Yes, it
You
was.
can't turn away from all that gorgeous
Yeah. Plus, it's Carrie
post-adolescent
Russell.
teen.
Like you
What?
can't Carrie. It's Carrie Russell. Like I just
She's
feel
great.
like yeah, anything she does. I mean, it's just like her lips are so beautifully thin and always have the right lip gloss. They always have the right amount of lip gloss, and then she just delicate features. Her hair is always great, whether it's curly or short or not curly.
Yeah.
That was an interesting show, not to detract from Legally Blonde, but Felicity was interesting in the way it kind of captivated audiences through these questions about women having autonomy and also hair. Like her cutting her hair was a really big deal. Do you remember that?
Of course. That was such a big deal that people were like really polarized by it or felt like they couldn't watch the show anymore. It was like, it's just a haircut.
Yeah. Because I guess the hair is such a symbol, which is again what Legally Blonde is dealing with that too, this issue of blonde hair. But hair is such a symbol, I guess, of femininity or a kind of sexuality and sensuality that when women cut their hair, it's almost like it's like a symbol for some people of cutting off their femininity. Do you
Yes.
think? Do you think
Or
that's
they just don't like the look of it. Like when for Felicity, Carrie Russell, she was so associated with long, curly hair that cutting it off was very abrupt feeling. Also,
yeah,
with that kind of curls, usually you don't chop it as short as she did. So I
yeah,
feel like it was sort of a jolt.
yes.
But I will be honest, I don't think she'd looked as great with the haircut.
No, but I also think it has to do with the issue of women's bodies and choice too.
Oh, well,
Like,
sure.
you know what I mean? Like, yes, maybe it's not as traditionally or conventionally sexy to have the short hair, but also like you get to do what you want to do because it's your hair, you know? Same thing
Yeah.
as other parts of your body. Um, I don't know. Women's bodies seem to be a battleground. And I want to talk about that more, but we're going to take a break so that you can just wait like the image of you is going to soon be the real image of you moving because I'm staring at a frozen Katie.
Really?
You
I
might
can
have to
see
move,
myself moving. I see you moving.
but I'm recording on my end and you're not moving. So no one's going to see you. We're just going to
Oh,
see a
all right.
frozen picture of you. And it's a little haunting. So I want to see the real you. So we're going to take a break. We're going
Okay.
to come back to these topics of legality, women's bodies, hair, and choice, and a whole lot of other things. Stay tuned.
Okay.
And we're back. Katie,
Yeah.
you're just alive and smiling and moving. It makes me so much happier.
Oh, it's good to not be frozen anymore.
Yeah, it's good to not be
I'm
frozen
happy about that.
unless you're the writer of Frozen and you've made like millions of dollars on a cartoon movie. That then it's good to be.
That's the only time.
Yeah, yeah. And I just noticed you're propping up your computer with the book. And I just want you to know you can't see, but my computer and my microphone are both propped up by multiple books. And as I was putting books, I was thinking that, you know, my mom has made jokes over the years about my $1 million book collection, which I have way fewer books than I used to.
I
But
know.
I was like, they really come in handy when you have a podcast and you need to prop up your computer and your microphone
They're
and
multi-purpose.
they're multi-purpose. I also not only that, I my Christmas tree, I didn't have the stand for my Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It's a fake Christmas tree somebody gave me, and you know, repurposing like it's you know, I know they're bad for the environment to have a fake Christmas tree, but when someone gives it to you, you know, use it. And the way that I made my Christmas tree stand up was I put a bunch of books in like a box and
Oh,
I just had to put more books around this around the base.
yes.
It's now a Valentine's tree, but yeah. it's books really work for a lot of different purposes in
They
life.
do.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do. Furniture,
They make you look
propping up
smart.
things,
Like when people come over,
decor,
what's decor? Yeah. Like people
decor.
are like, whoa, this person's smart. You could be like, I read only, 25% of them, but yeah,
But I have them.
but I have them.
So that's like the first step to
I
be
think I've read,
knowledgeable.
yeah. My mom used to use books sometimes as decor. We had, yeah, I remember that. In my room, I had the big bookshelf, but in other places, she's like, I'm just gonna have a few books here to make it look like the way Oprah thinks, a
Nice.
shelf should look. Yeah. Yeah.
Curated.
Yeah. And Oprah really helps with the book thing, right?
Oh,
Oprah
now you
helps
froze.
with the
Okay.
decor.
No,
Okay.
you're good. Never mind.
So we're getting back to Legally Blonde, and it's essentially a movie about intelligence and different kinds of intelligence, but it's also funny because Elwood
Yes.
is not what you would typically think of as an attorney or a law student at Harvard Law School. And she is unabashed
Correct.
in her pinkness, like, her
Mm-hmm.
convertible, her chihuahua, her pink clothes.
Yes.
And we were talking before about, the show Felicity and topics of women's hair and femininity and people having lots of opinions about how women ought to dress or behave. That hasn't changed. So what do you think about blonde hair? Like, what is your opinion? Because you've always had blonde hair, but not the kind of long blonde hair that's in the movie, but you've always been a blonde, right?
I mean, with
You were born a
outside
blonde.
help, I was born
No,
a blonde.
you
No, I
were
was
born a
born a
blonde.
I was, but then it got darker and darker to a mousy-ish kind of brown, like or a very dark blonde. But with the help of getting highlights as a sophomore in high school and then continuing that tradition till now
Yeah.
of either highlights or coloring, I have maintained a blondish look, depending on how much money I have to upkeep and how lazy I'm being about it. I'm
Yeah.
usually blonde.
And you're also a straight blonde. I mean, I don't mean heterosexual straight. I mean your hair.
Yeah.
Your hair has
Straight
always
hair,
been pretty straight. Yeah. Right?
it's very straight.
Yeah.
It barely holds a curl. I am opposite of Felicity.
And
Yes.
I was born with like very black hair as a baby, and then it became
Hmm.
very blonde, not as fake blonde as the wig I'm wearing now. This is like this
Peroxide.
blonde
Yes.
wig. Yeah, this looks like Donald Trump would try to coerce me into sex and then pay me hush money. This is the color of that blonde, right? Don't you think? Um,
That's what it is. Yeah.
yeah, I've already thought,
Trump
in
coercion
advance,
blonde.
like if I was in the same room as him and he tried to coerce me, and I knew eventually the hush money fund would be developing, I would be like, how much would I want for hush money if he did that to me? But anyway, because
It wouldn't be enough.
you gotta figure out your price, I think, in advance in case you're in the room with the president and he, you know, does what he wants to do.
Propositions?
Yeah, I think it was more than
Sure.
proposition, but
Yeah.
but so blonde, right? So then I had blonde hair as a kid, and then when I became, I guess, in my like 20s, I remember the person I was married to kept saying I wasn't blonde. I was more like brown, and we always had an argument. I'm like, no, it's sandy blonde. It's dirty blonde. I have dirty blonde hair.
Dark
It's not
blonde.
brown.
It's
Yeah, it's still
yeah.
blonde. The color is blonde. And my son ended up having similar color. And I was like, it's not brown. It's like dark blonde. And we kept having arguments about all that because I think there's a hue to the color, HUE, not Hugh Hefner,
Yes.
but a hue, HUE, to the color of your blonde, Um,
Sure.
and I don't know if they have more fun. The stereotype is that blondes have more fun. I'm curious if brunettes though are taken more seriously, because I did have a brunette phase. I came after I was in California and I came back to the East Coast, I was in a brunette phase, and I kind of
Mhm.
felt like I would be taken more seriously, perhaps as a brunette. Do you?
Well, it does have, well, this whole movie does have the trope, the
Yeah,
age-old battle of blonde versus brunette, and brunette being serious and thinking and, professional, which is what Selma Blair is kind of giving off with her dark brown hair, and it's a cute little bob and her pearls that she's always wearing.
yeah,
Um, in direct opposition to the long, blonde, flowing locks of Elle.
yeah.
So, but I mean, if I were basing it on this movie, yeah, blondes do have more fun. She's
She
not
does.
having fun for most of
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah. Vivian,
Elle is.
the brunette Vivian isn't having too much fun. Yeah.
No, no.
But maybe it doesn't have anything to do with her brunette hair. Maybe it just has to do with her trying to be an attorney in a law school, and she's at Harvard, and she's been driven to be perfect, even though the
Yes.
lawyer in charge keeps asking her to do secretarial things. Like she ends up, it's interesting how she keeps getting asked to do like get the plum. He's having Chinese food. I wrote it down. He's like,
Yeah.
please get my, is it Vivian? Yeah.
I don't
Please
even
get
think
my
he says
plum
please.
sauce. Yeah. He doesn't even say
My
please. Yeah.
coffee, paperwork. I noted that too. I was like, he's always having her fetch and carry, which
Yeah.
is what yeah, his fetch girl.
Yeah. I
And
wrote
he
the same
doesn't
word,
ask,
fetch.
but he doesn't ask Elle, and he doesn't seem to ask the, as she puts it, the lesbian Enid at all. Like she's in the background, but she's the only other woman there too, and he doesn't ask her to do anything.
Yeah.
So then I guess it's just kind of like he sees Vivian as the worker bee
Yeah.
and assistant,
Right. The
and he doesn't
assistant.
really see Enid. And then Elle is like, well, I find her attractive, so I'm going to try and hit that. So I'm not asking her to do anything else.
I don't
And I
want
think
her
that's
mad
just
at
how
me.
he classifies it. Or
Yeah.
just like, yeah, basically, and I'm just going to look at her. I don't need to have her go and get that paperwork or that coffee, whatever.
And that's, I think, when Vivian starts to realize that maybe this whole like situation isn't great, because she's thinking, okay, Elle must have something, right? I got the guy, and she's holding up her ring, like I got Warner, and I have this ring, and we're being, she's been mean to Elle. The whole thing has
Yes.
been to just be really mean to Elle, but then she's realizing Elle keeps getting what she wants, and she keeps succeeding, and she's not bothered by the mean little middle school girl behavior. She's not affected by it. So she
Yeah.
seems to want to, maybe I need to talk to Elle. Maybe I need to make friends with Elle. Um
Yeah, she puts out some feelers. But, just to go back to this, the overall premise,
yeah.
it begins with hoping there's about to be a proposal by
Yeah.
Elle's whole sorority in college and thinking it's coming and knowing that, it would be, he would propose with his grandmother's ring and knowing all the carats of it, like way too much information that you would have pre-proposal, especially when you're like basically 21 in college still. And then it becomes going from like what you think is a proposal to like a huge letdown because it's a breakup dinner, but it's done in the most random, crazy way. Like it's a whole setup where you're like, how is this man, Warner, so tone deaf and so just dumb in the way he's approaching this whole situation of I got to dump you because I got to get with an East Coast elite type girl. I got to have my Jackie, not my
Right.
Marilyn,
And
which
oh,
is
yes,
just,
and that's the classic blonde and brunette situation there.
of course, but it's
Mm.
just like, what year is this? Because it is kind of a retro thing to be acting like in 2001. And so then Elle, of course, is heartbroken and then decides, oh, the best way to get back with him is I got to go to law school. And then, of course, that's the whole, she scores great on the LSATs, like with, I don't even know, a month of studying or something, and does a video essay, and it all works out.
Yeah.
Um, and then, you know, is doing the kind of, as we talked about before with Felicity, I'm just going to follow him and be a part of his world. And then he'll realize I can be Jackie. I'm going to do it. And then, of course, she realizes because she's much smarter and just better than him that she doesn't need him. And she actually starts to see him for what he is, which is like not that bright and pretty average, and she can do better. So it's like a classic kind of rom-com, although it doesn't have much romance in it, I noticed. Like it's got a rom-com feel a bit, but it's never like there's no major romance depicted in it, except for
No,
like hints of Luke Wilson, but there's no kiss at the end with that or anything.
right. There's not. But okay. So, all right, you gave us a lot of information. So I want to step back a little bit and kind of
Go
examine a
for it.
few things. Okay. So there are these sort of, I think it's interesting because there's politics and there's social views and then there's entertainment. And, I think we are in right now a society in 2024. Now we're in 2025 now that's
Yeah.
really divided, and a lot of the same issues keep coming up for us. Over the years, it doesn't really change the same kind of political issues, and yet, so this film, it's kind of interesting because on the one hand, you think about it in terms of women and women accomplishing things and beauty standards and what does it mean in law, how does a woman make it in law school and things like that, and then you have just that it's funny because she is very feminine, and it doesn't take away from her intelligence, and she actually in the movie does gain respect from people just through being intelligent and working hard. I don't know though if that is realistic. I mean, I guess I haven't been to law school, so I don't know what the situation is, for women in law school. I have watched a lot of The Good Wife, which I
Of
love.
course.
That's a brunette. I love Alicia Florrick in The Good Wife.
Of course.
But, people who are in the legal profession and in law school, I think they get very jaded about people that they meet. They think everybody kind of has a cover. People are rarely authentic or honest, I think. And you can
Hmm.
even see that with the Harvard lawyers, not quite lawyers, but students that she's meeting, where they're just really mean to her because she doesn't fit with their kind of type and they don't want to
Yes.
engage with her. And I was talking to a woman last night who had worked at some law firms. I guess she was doing like paralegal work. She said that her experience with the lawyers were that they really talked down to the other
Mm,
workers. And it was like a really odd, like there was just a classist sort of thing. And I don't know, I've heard stories, right, of there being these
yeah.
like hierarchies within law. So do you think that it's obviously we laugh, we have fun, it's a good story, Legally Blonde
Yeah.
is, but is it something that is realistic to think that you could be feminine, that you could wear pink, that you could be pretty and let and accentuate your prettiness and still make it as an attorney? I don't know. Like I'm curious if your brother's a lawyer, does he ever say, I mean, does he ever say anything about like women versus men in a law firm?
No, but I haven't really asked him. I'm sure he would have
Yeah.
some kind of answer and views, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a bunch of attorneys in my family. I have an aunt, I have a cousin, I have my brother, um, in various, whether it was a law firm or working for the government or, you know, other agencies. So I don't know if that's as good of a barometer as like a law firm
Hmm.
where it is about making partner and it's much more competitive, I think. And there's more hierarchy to it than when you're in a non-private position.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like, can you be like Elle Woods? I mean, to a lesser degree, you can, I think,
Mm-hmm.
nowadays. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go all out the way she is because that's just heightened.
Yeah.
But, it's not that long ago. I think it's probably state by state, but like it used to be, you couldn't just be wearing pants when you were doing a trial as a woman. You
Yeah.
would have to be in a skirt, or maybe it would be sometimes judge to judge what they preferred. But to be professionally dressed when you're having a hearing or a trial, it would be expected that, you know, skirt, pantyhose, suit, like suit dress for women. And that wasn't that long ago. So I think there's still a lot of institutionalized um, misogyny,
Mm-hmm.
and then also just the classist thing, the competitive and the classist elements, which are like super heightened in this movie
Yeah.
because it's like crazy. I mean, these are people that are in law school, and when they're in the library scene where she's trying to get in a study group, it is like absolutely a high school cafeteria scene
Yeah.
where, like there's the cool kids with Warner and Vivian, studious cool kids, I guess, in their table. And then the next table is like all women, which they kind of give off the lesbian vibe because of
Yeah.
Enid, and them mocking her as well. So that she's just kind of like, oh, no one wants me, and I'm
Yeah.
so beautiful and so popular normally. But like,
Yeah.
what
In my
was me?
sorority, I'm really
In my
popular
sorority.
here.
Yeah, right, right. I'm like a homecoming queen. And what do you mean? But like but she's like a positive kind of popular person because she's very accepting of everybody. But the way everybody else is treating her is very old fashioned and like I said, like a high school stereotypical 80s movie.
I think a lot of adults are still stuck in the high school adolescent kind of way of
Oh, well,
engaging with
yes.
people. But I guess that it raises that other question about stereotypes because we talk a lot about issues of bias in this country and bigotry, and there's all kinds of divides, and the Constitution and the law is supposed to help protect against discrimination of different kinds. But I do think that one of the things I learned just as, getting older, becoming a mom, and trying to see myself as a whole person and feel like a whole person and not divided into parts was that I do think there are assumptions made sometimes, quick assumptions that people might not be intending to make, but they just happen, where
Sure.
intelligence is often separated from attractiveness, right? So there's a thought that if someone has this blonde, big blonde hair or wears lipstick or dresses in a certain way, then they might not
Yes.
be as intelligent as a woman who is dressing in a way that's perhaps more masculine. And when I say
Hmm.
masculine, I'm not saying in a negative way, but the blazer, right? There's
Or
something,
neutral, maybe.
yeah,
Or
well, there's something about professionalism that is attached to a masculine fashion
hmm
ethos.
yes,
The
covering up.
blazer thing, yeah, and the stiffer kind of look. You have to almost dress like a man to be professional and to be taken seriously. And I think this movie's kind of examining that a little bit. But I do think we have stereotypes about women more often than we do about men. Where if you see a man who's
Yes.
attractive, you don't assume, oh, he's also kind of dumb. But there is
Right.
this blonde, dumb thing that we associate with, or a woman who's attractive. Well, if she's taking care of her face and her body that well, she probably doesn't have a level of intelligence. I don't even know where that comes from, but I do think it exists, and I've been on the receiving end of it. So let me tell you a
Hmm.
story. Um, this woman who had been a former lawyer, she was talking to me one time. I was telling her about an experience I had where I had to go to this office, and I think I was talking to an attorney in the thing, and she said, she was like, "Well, you have that privilege where you're attractive, so." I'm sure that it went well for you or something like that. And I was like, Actually, it works
Did you
differently.
say thank you so much?
No, she said a few offensive things to me, but at different times I was like,
Oh,
okay,
just the
you're in a,
attractive part. I'd be
yeah,
like,
I guess I'm not really a person. I'm just a prop in your academic journal. But my feeling about that was I've been in so many situations where I'm sitting at a table with someone who's a man, and
mhm,
I'm thinking we're having an intelligent conversation that's professional and that's focused on perhaps a business kind of relationship. And this wasn't that instance, by the way, but I found that oftentimes I'm viewed as, well, perhaps I'm not a business associate. Perhaps I could become a different kind of associate to him, right? Like
mhm.
this one man I met, we were talking about business stuff. He was like an entrepreneur, and I'm thinking we're having a conversation about business, and he's asking me to join him and his wife to be a third party in their love affair scheme. I mean, like it was I think it was called a throuple. That was what he was expecting, and I was like, if I was 40-year-old man sitting across from you and we set up a lunch date to talk about business ideas, would you be asking me the same question? I don't think you would. He touched my
Probably
knee.
not.
I'm like, it's like a movie. It touched my knee. And I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on here? And he told me when I addressed it with him, I
Yeah.
said, listen, like this was really hurtful and offensive to me. And I want you to understand that. And he's like, well, he said to me, will you twirl your hair? And I thought that was a signal.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like,
well,
I'll
that's
wear my,
trouble for me because I constantly twirl my
I
hair.
know. I was like, I'll just be wearing ponytails everywhere from now on. I'm like, I twirl my hair because it's the way I think. But
Yes.
apparently me twirling my hair was some
A signal.
cat-like signal to suggest that I was not really being professional. I was like, oh my gosh. So
Uh,
I had many experiences like that in my, trying to learn about a little bit more about business and entrepreneurial ventures. And I just thought, wow, maybe that's not for me, because I don't want to have to keep addressing these
correcting.
sorts of issues. Yeah, just because I'm a person sitting in a room. But I mean, there's differences in men and women. And I guess, you know, we see, I don't know, that's what she's really dealing with. And she also has this experience, right? Elle has this
Yeah.
experience with this
Professor.
high powered attorney who is thinking, okay, now that I see how intelligent you are and I'm attracted to you, maybe more can develop in our relationship.
Yes. Something
Yeah.
that would be what he thinks of as mutually beneficial. Something for him, something for her, an internship or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is very like she plays it very well of just sort of going from being like, oh, I'm being complimented, this is so nice, to like, oh, that like sort of you see the sinking feeling that one gets in their stomach when it's like, oh, this is where this was going.
Yeah.
Like, so now I have to question, was any of my work being really appreciated, or was it all leading up to a proposition, which is a tough thing to have to go through after all the work that she's done. Um, and a lot of women, in the workforce have those moments of like, uh-oh, now I got to deal with fending this off and then also questioning myself and my abilities because was were the compliments and, the work I was doing actually really good, or were they just kind of like buttering me up for this? So it's
Right.
a real double-edged sword for
Yeah.
her.
It's yeah. I mean, it's just in general. I think it's challenging in that way. I think there are different forms of challenges for different people.
Mhm.
I think all of us, regardless of whether it's religion or gender or skin color or um, who knows, anything else I'm not mentioning, marital status, anything, whether you're a parent or not a parent, we want to be sitting at a table with people who treat us as equals. Um,
Of
and
course.
really look at character and actions and not so much external appearance. But it does seem that we the human condition is almost to make some rash judgments sometimes that get people into trouble.
Oh, well,
And
sure, of course.
yeah,
Everybody has first impressions that, you know, can jump the gun.
yeah, yeah.
But
The other thing I wanted to mention, what you had talked about, was the engagement ring, and I put I wrote this book. I think that's part of why I wanted to do some of these girl movies because they're fun. So I wrote this book, Letters to a Young Woman from Paris. And one of the early letters from a Parisian cafe, I'm writing, to this. It's not, it could be any young woman
mhm.
because I've always felt that older women giving mentorship to younger women is really powerful. Not only sisterhood, equal in age, but also different ages.
Sure.
And there was one of the first letters was how I was saying that I was sitting at this cafe, and I remember this. I was in the near this church that's Mary Magdalene's church in Paris, and it's Madeleine. They don't say Magdalene, and my daughter's actually named from that church.
Yes.
That's why she's Madeline. So there was this big poster with this woman with this engagement ring, and it was the advertisement was that you want to get chosen, you want to get this ring on your finger. And I remember
Yes.
just putting in the book, and then it's also coming up in this movie. Is that the big deal in your life? Because I wanted a young woman who's reading my book to be thinking about purpose. Like, what's my purpose? And maybe the purpose changes, but the
Sure.
purpose isn't this idea that you get the ring and then your life is just going to be wonderful.
Magical. Yeah.
And it's really, I mean, that even in 2001, that is a big part of that
Oh,
movie. This idea of the
the movie
beautiful
starts with a
ring.
proposal or not proposal, and it ends with a proposal because the last line is about how Luke Wilson's character is going to propose to Elle tonight.
I know that's the thing that annoyed me at the end. I'm like, okay, who cares with the ring here? So
Yeah,
what is this idea? I mean, here you have this woman who has proven herself in this movie and in other places, right? Women have had to overcome some different obstacles to be treated as equals,
sure.
making choices of whether they want to be in the workplace or not, different kinds of choices depending on your status as a parent. And then there's still this idea that the ring it's like the big win in your life. I
Yes,
just why does that still exist? Do you
to
think
some
this still
degree.
exists? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would be made as big of a deal as it is in this movie nowadays. But there's still like it's still a thing. I mean, it's still a like, I want to be a princess when I grow up sort of situation in our lives, whether it's as blatant as the movie shows it to be or like just it's a subtle kind of undercurrent that still exists. It's still there, I think. Like and part of it is just marketing. Like
Yeah.
diamond companies and jewelry companies and like wedding industries like it's good propaganda. So
Yeah.
that kind of keeps it going. And that's just pure capitalism right there. So, you know,
Yeah.
not
But
great,
what
but it's
do women, I mean, I guess even for Elle, romance is first, and even for Vivian, because she's so excited about having the ring from Warner. Romance comes first, and then second is maybe the career. And
job.
yeah, and I think for men, it's not, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not different. Maybe it's on an individual basis, but um I don't think you need
Sure.
to have like be part of a couple to be successful in life. Or
No.
maybe I don't know, maybe
No,
it's
you don't. Of
more
course not.
likely, yeah, maybe it's more likely to be
Right.
successful as if you're part of a couple. I don't know.
It doesn't, I don't know. The whole thing, though, from the beginning, it's like, okay, you're 21 or 22, I don't know. Uh, and your whole thing, even before you graduated college, is I'm gonna get this ring, I'm gonna get married. Even her friend is like within months of them graduating, I guess, is getting married and so excited. And it's just like, but this isn't like, to me, I'm like, this isn't 1970
I
where
know.
like everybody's getting married pretty young. Like, I feel like it should be like mid to late 20s, you're starting to think about these things and not like, oh, as soon as I get out of college, I want to get married. I feel like even for us in 2001, it wasn't like first thing you do. But this is very, it's just very retro. I don't know.
Yeah, it is very retro. And then Jennifer Coolidge plays the friend. I forget the friend's name, the woman who works at the beauty
I forget her
parlor,
name too.
Elle's friend. But she,
Yes.
the big thing, Brooke, is it Brooke?
Doing a great job. Jennifer
No, it's not.
Coolidge,
Yeah, she's
always
so fun.
funny.
Yeah, she's always funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's like this idea that having the baby and getting married, even if he's, well, not maybe it's even especially if he's the UPS guy with the tall, dark, and handsome UPS guy, like that this is happiness. This is the happy ending. And I guess I'm just
For some it is, and for her it is because she's been liking him for so long and they got married and now they're going to have a kid. So
well, it's still
that's great.
it started these stories of happy endings are so common, and it's even from Shakespeare's day. If you're writing a comedy, the ending has to have marriages. But
Yes, weddings, of
marriage
course.
is marriage is not always an easy thing. It's challenging. So I feel like people, maybe I'm just jaded because I'm just like, what's that? Maybe a happy ending is just she's on a beach by herself, and she gets to do whatever she wants. Like instead of this idea that she gets the boyfriend, he's going to propose, and then that's the happy ending. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might just be overwhelming. Just can
Oh, I wouldn't
if
want to be married at that age. Or
married
like,
and also be like trying to be an attorney, trying to make a marriage work. I just
I
think
mean,
there's a lot of
it works for some.
expectations. Yeah.
My cousin, she was finishing law school and got engaged and then they got married. So she got married before I did, and she's younger. So it worked out because they're still married and they got
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And she's successful and he's successful. But like,
Everybody
that's
in
on
your
an individual
family,
basis.
there's just this magic wand that's like around your family where everybody just, it's like happy marriages, success, like ding.
I
It's
mean,
like
as far as I know.
there was the fairy godmother who's like ding, ding, ding. And
Well,
then
till someone tells me different in my family, they're all happy and they're fine or they're content. I don't know. Yes, there are a lot of still married people in my family. I don't know why.
next time we're together, I feel like you just need to touch me and like let me like feel the McGraw like power of like family, because it's always
Yeah.
like this successful cousin and then this. I'm just like, okay, wow. It's just
I
it's
mean,
impressive.
we're middle class. Let's not act like this is some maybe upper middle class to a degree, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nobody's like killing it, killing it. It's just kind of, you know, bopping along.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess for me, I don't want to necessarily be jaded about the ring and the marriage and the happy ending thing. I don't
No,
want to
but
be
I think
jaded
that's
about it.
normal. I think that's the right way to approach it. Like a wedding, getting a ring, like those are events, but they are not the destination. And if you think they're the destination, then you are really going to be sad and disappointed very soon
But don't
because that goes away.
I do think movies often, and I used to be challenged by this when I was younger, and then I got over it, and now I kind of am back to it a little bit. I think I watched a lot of cable TV, like in terms of, HBO and Cinemax and Showtime growing up, right? And then there was
Yeah.
USA, there was that channel USA, and then the Lifetime movies. I watched a lot of movies, and
Yeah.
there is often just the idea that at the end, you want the marriage and the happy ending is the
Well,
marriage.
yes, you do root for it most of the time.
Yeah. But
Only occasionally have I been like, no, I don't like this for the girl at the end or whatever.
well, and that's what's interesting because I was just watching Pretty in Pink, Pretty in Pink, the John Hughes film,
Yes, of
Molly
course.
Ringwald.
Classic.
And in two different classes with my students, and I like that movie because it has style, it's interesting, and then you have that classic kind of theme of which man to choose, to where at the end it's Ducky or Blaine. And if
Mm-hmm.
somebody's named Blaine, it just seems like a bad idea from the beginning. But that's what Ducky
Yes,
says to her, Blaine, you're dating somebody named Blaine. But
it's true. Says
I
Ducky. I mean,
right, says Ducky. So, but it was funny because I've watched that. I always love that movie. I showed it last year, and students who are older were very supportive of Ducky. Like Ducky is the one she has to be with. And this year, they were just like not impressed at all with either of the choices. They're a little younger, and maybe maybe life is a little more challenging this year in the United States. I don't know. And then two different girls in two different classes said she can just be alone. Why does she need to have a boyfriend at the end of this? And they didn't say
true.
it in a way that was like, this is my belief as a feminist woman, anything
Right.
like that. It was just, and I remember thinking the same thing, like, she doesn't need to have anybody at the end. But I'm trying to think of movies that feature strong women characters
Uh-huh.
where they are happy and feel complete in being single and being by themselves. Can you think of any?
Mm.
Because even
Right off
Clueless,
the top of
right?
my head. Yeah, not
Clueless
Clueless,
ends with
obviously.
all the 19th
And they're at a
century,
wedding in that.
the 19th century
Um,
British novels that are repurposed in the 20th century or the 21st century involve weddings.
One thing I can say, okay, this doesn't happen in the movie, which bothered me. Not this movie. For an example of a woman at the end discovering herself and being like, I don't need to be with anybody at this time, is Circle of Friends.
Oh my
So
God.
Circle of Friends
Friends.
by Maeve Binchy, right?
Yeah.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
So I remember reading that in high school and then watching the movie that came out when we were in high school too with Minnie Driver. That was like one of her big movies. And
Mhm.
Alan Cumming.
Oh
I
my
mean, it's a
God,
crazy.
Alan Cumming. I
I
love
know.
him. Like, I just want him at my table. I want to be
I
having
know, but he's
like
so gross and pervy in the
food.
like movie because he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh, he is, but he's just the best actor. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, yes, he's so good. So in the movie, she does end up with the popular guy that she was having a kind of thing with, and then he got with the prettier girl that is in her friend group, but then they end up back together again, played by Chris O'Donnell. And in the
Yeah.
book, if I'm remembering it correctly, she does not end up with anybody at the end. And there's a line about whatever her name is, because now I can't remember, Mary, let's say. Mary now looked up into the sky and saw that there were just stars and she didn't need anything else. Or it's something like, oh, she looked up into the sky and she no longer saw Chris. She saw stars. And like, that's all she needed.
Yeah.
And so like I remember even though I was like 15 and would
Yeah.
like a whole happy ending thing, would be rooting for Blaine at Pretty in Pink or any of that stuff. I remember thinking like that's good. That's a good ending because she's like, you know what? I've come into my own and I don't need to be worrying about this guy who cheated on me and then like came back into my life. Like, you know what? I don't need it anymore. But in the movie, they, like it's still good, but she does get with him at the end, I believe. And I just remember thinking, no, no, I
Yeah.
like the whole I can look in the sky and see the stars and not him anymore. Like,
Yes, I remember. So the way it went for me was I believe I saw the movie first. I
mhm,
loved Minnie Driver in that movie. Like
so good.
I was same thing. We're same age. So high school, I was like, okay, now I want to go to Ireland because everything in the
Yes.
movie was so, and I just felt such connection to Minnie Driver because she played that character so well. And then I got the book. I was like, okay, well, now I need to read all these Maeve Binchy books. And it was really thick. And I remember
Yeah.
carrying it. I was in my Spanish class, right? Like I remember having that book because I always read a book and I always like finished my work in class so I could read my book. And I remember
Yes.
actually, I believe I was in Spanish class when I finished reading it and I was like, oh, the ending is completely different. And the same, I liked it better. And I was like, and that's what sort of turned on the light bulb of like, what is going on? Why didn't they just do this in the movie? This
I
would have been
know.
fine. Yeah.
I would have been happy with that. That made sense. It's
Yeah.
like it's like what they did with Pretty in Pink, where like she was supposed to get with Ducky, but then everybody, the test audience said, no, we want her with the popular guy, Blaine. And so then they changed the ending. But I like the idea even better of she says none of the above. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
go either. I'm good. You
Yeah.
guys need to, well, not Ducky so much, but you know, Blaine, you need to work on yourself. But now you know that about you.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Lane is so weak and I don't even care the little like sorry at the end. Yeah, okay, I accept your apology. Good luck to you. Now
right.
go
Well, I guess
dance.
because they had to write that as like a
Yeah. Yeah.
quick change that it was kind of like an afterthought. So it's
Well,
not
and
great.
you've always had the good picks when we've watched movies and shows because you always like even with Felicity, you knew from the beginning Noel is better. Noel is a better choice
Yes.
than Ben, and I was the Ben girl, and you're in the happy family where all the marriages last, and I'm in the, years long custody battle,
It's practicality
where
to a
families just
degree.
do not get each other. Yeah. So I'm just going with your recommendations from now on. But so if you think about though, in terms of another legal drama, The Good Wife, Alicia Florrick,
Yes.
she has that fling and affair with oh gosh, who is he? What's
Josh
his name?
Charles.
Yeah, Josh. That's the
Will.
actor, Josh Will, who's Josh Charles. I love him so much.
I know.
He's just
From
like
Baltimore.
you can feel the Baltimore in his face. It's like the perfect Baltimore face. And
Good guy.
but like I like that it's not happy ending she's with Will. I don't even want to give any away the series to
I think you
anybody who
could at
hasn't
this
seen it.
point.
Yeah, but it's so good. I want people to just enjoy every single
All right.
episode because I love that. But she really is standing on her own. She's still kind of married, and then it's maybe not, and maybe they're separated, and it's awkward because she's in this political situation as a wife. But she really, I feel like what's powerful about that show, she stands on her own mostly. She has a boyfriend
Yes.
here or there, and she does turn to her husband because he has connections. So sometimes she will turn to him and ask questions or input. And they kind of
Sure.
have, I guess, almost like a Clinton-esque marriage in that it stays in that zone of marriage, but they're really living separate
Like
lives.
some partnership
Yeah.
there
Yeah, because
and
they have
raising
these
kids.
kids, right? Because they're raising kids, and I think they both want to do right by their kids. So it's not so much about anger and revenge and you did this to me. It's just, you know what? I'm just going to live my life and make my
Yeah.
money, which is what Alicia Florrick does, and he goes and he continues in his path. But she, I think, is really depicted as that independent woman who has her own mind. And I
Yes.
like that about her. And Elsbeth, so I loved Elsbeth Tassioni in that show, The Good Wife. And then so excited recently when I'm like, oh, there is a show by Robert
Just of her.
King. Yeah, it's Robert and Michelle, right? The creators of these shows. King. They did The Good Fight, The Good
Oh,
Wife,
okay. Sure.
Elsbeth. They're the Kings,
Mm-hmm.
which is what a cool last name to be the Kings.
It's true.
They just do good stuff. But now Elsbeth, she's also very interesting as a character. She's quirky, she's different, and she's allowed to be. And because she wins at the end of the
Yes.
day, people, if it works and somebody shows their intelligence, people just are like,
Mhm.
okay, we're not going to mess with you anymore. We're not going to make fun
Yeah.
of you anymore. So she's
Well, exactly. If you
independent.
get results, then you're going to let a lot of other things slide.
Yeah.
For better or for worse sometimes. But, you know, in the case of Elspeth or in the case of Elle, it's like, okay, be all this quirkiness or everything pink and very Barbie coded, but you obviously are smart and then you win a case on your first try. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
do you. We will allow that. If you didn't be like have a successful outcome, then it would be like, well, you've just proven every single thing that I was thinking about you on the surface is true on the, inner level. So you're out. But that's what makes it a fun movie because it is like she seems like this pretty little package and then she has the ability to just clap back at everybody and spew different facts and just completely level anybody that is trying to put her in her place. I mean, it also has elements of, I was thinking from the beginning of, there's Clueless. It's Clueless kind of in a way. And then it's also when they're in the shop in the very beginning and the retail person, whatever, the woman who's trying to sell her on a dress that's like, like a different, it's from last year. And she's like, oh, they're so dumb and they have money. So I'll just sell her this dress, and then gets like totally dressed down by Elle being like, no, this is the material and blah, 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 blah. And like, I don't think so. And that's a very like Pretty Woman moment.
Yes.
It was like,
Yes.
big mistake.
I love that line.
Yeah. And,
Pretty Woman, yeah.
she gets put in her place. So there ends up being like people trying to put Elle in this box and her
Yes.
then just kind of very effervescently and not in a like mean way, but just putting them in their place and saying, no, no, no.
Yes. And
I'm
that's
so
what's
sorry you thought I was this, because I'm not.
right. And that's what's powerful about it, because she's not doing it from a place of anger or just being mean. She's just kind of she just keeps declaring her intelligence and her
Yeah.
savvy, and she trusts herself too. And that's another thing I was thinking when I was watching this that ties into the book I wrote, because it's about listening to your own inner guidance. And the way that I kind of explain that after doing a lot of yoga, because we have minds that can get very, especially if you're, dealing with anxiety or a stressful life situation, your mind can go into stories. Especially for me, I'm a creative person. So for years, my mind would just latch onto a story or an idea and I couldn't really let it go. But when you are centered, you can start to listen to, how do I feel? Like, how does my energy feel in order to make a decision, and not get lost in the loopholes of your mind. And I notice now in a situations, if I'm thinking too much, it means that's not a time to speak or to do anything. I have to wait until my body feels really like clear. And that is a more natural time to say something. And she talks, and the reason I'm saying that is because Elle right away just says, this woman, Brooke, who has the business, she's in
The fitness guru.
She's in jail for, they think she's killed
Allegedly.
her husband. Yeah, allegedly killing
Yes.
her husband. And Elle is just like, well, she didn't do it. Like, I just know she didn't do it. She's not. And she just says, happy people don't kill people. Right. Like,
Right.
and it's like so obvious, but again, the jaded lawyers
And
who
she
are
has her
like,
own money.
oh, right. She's not killing them for money. Yeah. But the jaded
Right.
lawyers are like trying to look at what's the motives, what's going on. And she's just like, well, it's just obvious to me. And anytime she talks to someone, she just has an immediate response. It's like, okay, well, she's hiding something, because she listens. If she has a clear conscience, so she can listen to her own feelings and sense like something's off here. But there are people who live very much in their heads, and they don't pay attention to like, what is my gut telling me? What, they don't know what their body feels, and they're numb to their body. So it's all in their head. So they get caught in these like crazy little traps and puzzles of their mind. But what's interesting is the way Emmett, played by Luke Wilson, judges Brooke, who's also a blonde. I wrote it down. He says, she seems untrustworthy to me because she's made a living telling women they're fat. And it was because she does, she's teaching them how to like get a tighter butt or something.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I'm going to trust this woman. But what's interesting is you can judge somebody based on, I hear this or I hear that. And then when you're actually in front of that person, you can kind of get a feeling for, do I feel like this person is what they accused her of? Like you kind of can feel if someone feels icky, if someone feels in integrity, like you can feel that from, I think, in person. And I think as women, I'm not just saying women, I mean, I think this can go for all people, but I can speak as a woman that
True.
Sometimes
as a woman
there's feelings of, like, earlier in my life where I couldn't listen to my feelings because feelings were a problem and I had to listen to thoughts. And yet I'm a sensitive person who has my own intuition, and I have a sense about things. So I think there's like this back and forth that we grapple with. Like, I feel this way. Can I trust that feeling? And a lot of times women are told, no,
Sure.
we have to base it on this, and this. And I think that's interesting when it comes to law, because law is looking at a law,
Hmm.
and is it broken, and what's the process? And feelings oftentimes are seen as separate than law. But I don't think they have
Well,
to.
it's reason without passion,
That's right. But then
as
she
is said in the beginning by Holland Taylor.
Yes. But then Elle says she thinks that you do need passion in order to succeed in
Yes.
law. She does say that. She says, I think that Socrates, made this great statement, the law is reason without passion. But how else are you going to win a case if you don't have passion? And I do think I've noticed, in my experience of looking at attorneys, there's a lot of emotion coming out of attorneys, but it's not happy emotion, right? There's a lot of like, this
Right.
is almost like I am right. It has to be a passion of I am always right kind of
Sure. Well, it is about
energy.
persuasive speaking to a
Yeah.
degree as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So passion does help if you believe that you're always right. Right?
Yes, it
I
does.
mean, that's
It
how this president became president, this current president. Don't you think? He spoke with a lot of was it passion or anger? Sometimes
I
I
mean,
thought it
it's
was
kind of the
anger.
same.
Is it the
It's
same?
anger. It's anger, it's disdain,
But it's galvanizing
hatred.
to people. For some
Oh, of
reason, it's
course. Well, because people
galvanizing.
like to commiserate and they like to feel like, oh, you're telling it to the man, even though it's like you are the man and you are actually actively trying to suppress all these people that are now going to vote for you. Like leading lambs to slaughter kind of situation, but they're going to keep on going. Clop, 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 walk all the way over to the slaughterhouse because he just speaks to them in a way. So, like, yeah, I mean, that is part of a certain kind of charisma and persuasive
It does
attitude.
seem, yeah, and it seems catchy for people. It's not for me. It's like,
No,
ew, I don't want to, like, ooh. I, I,
no,
I actually would prefer a more balanced, calm, reasoned person to communicate with or to lead me, not somebody who just seems like they're on fire all the time with their anger. I don't listen to
right.
that. That's not catchy for me. But I was
No,
listening. I was at a dinner party recently, and this woman said that she was taking a public speaking class, and because we were talking about politics and how people win, and she said, if I can remember this correctly, that in the public speaking class, she was learning that a lot of people, the way they work is that they'll have a feeling and they'll attach a narrative to their feelings. So their emotions will develop
yes,
and then they're going to attach a narrative. And so the feeling is actually leading them into a story that they believe. Whereas the more
yeah,
reasoned kind of person who's stepping back and trying to work with, work within a legal system or work within a political framework, the idea behind even the origin of the Constitution, after seeing this king after that king and queen,
right.
beheading people, was let's step back from these big emotions and let's make some like reasonable,
Ground rules.
yeah, ground rules where this is, from a place of centeredness. Here's what seems to be happening, and yes, feelings can come and go, but we're not going to let the feeling and the emotion create the narrative.
Right.
And I
Well,
think
it's
that
trying to be
that's what,
objective.
yeah. Well, isn't that what a lawyer's supposed to be to some degree?
Well, to a degree, but if you're arguing a case, then whether you believe in that case or not, your job is to persuade the other side or persuade the jury or the judge that your person, your client, or whatever is correct.
But
Or you have to find a certain verdict for them.
do you think though, and this, because I've thought about law school in my life on multiple occasions, we're both English majors. So we had to write a lot of papers of being persuasive and supporting with evidence. I'm always teaching students, what's your thesis statement? You have to support it. But do you really, I just thought I don't think it would sit well with me to feel that I was representing someone that I didn't trust or didn't believe. Like I couldn't do
Well,
it.
yeah, that would be hard. But people have to do it because that's, I mean, like public defenders, I mean, that's something where probably 8 or 9 times out of 10 for those attorneys, they're like, I know you're guilty. Like, you don't need to tell me you're guilty, but like, I know it, but I have to now defend you to the best of my ability because that is what our judicial process is supposed to be.
And I
And that's a
respect
different kind of mindset to have,
it
like,
is. And
or
I
to
respect
represent.
that.
Yeah,
What I respect about that is my obligation is to democracy and upholding democracy. So there's still
right.
a
And
code,
civil
right? There's still a
rights.
code, and this is what our civil rights are.
Yes.
But I also think that if I genuinely like had somebody walk in the door and they want representation and I think they're like a dirty person. Like when I say dirty, I mean like not ethically clean or
Sure.
that they're, I don't know that I could do it. I mean, you can sort of choose what cases you take. And I think I'd only take cases of people that I actually trusted.
Well, that's if you're in a private practice and various other, you
Yeah.
have a certain status. But if you were working on like in not a DA's office, but the public defender's office, whatever, that's just like the lottery.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get this case, I gotta go to this hearing and immediately represent this person.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
For better or for worse. Like that's what you've signed up for. So you don't choose.
You don't,
No.
which is why I haven't gone into law school. I just
That
don't.
was it. That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I
And the
know.
crushing debt that doesn't really pay off. Having
Oh,
had relatives be in law school, I can tell you that is a real downside.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I do have a script for us. I do want to make note that it is Super Bowl Sunday, and you can see I'm in my green. I'm very festive with my
Oh, yes.
green scarf, my green hat. I'm wearing, I was like, oh, do I have green shoes? And I have green. Can you see them? Boots. They're like,
Yes.
green. Yeah. So we're doing,
They're
it's all
coming off brown in my video, but okay.
Oh, okay. Well, they're like
You look very earth tones.
yes, that's my green. Yeah, the Eagles green is a very green. And I'm like, I have
Right.
green and I'm going with fashionable green for the Eagles.
Yeah. Instead of
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day green.
Right. It's similar, right? That's their green
Yeah.
is the St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. I'm more of the
Like a Kelly green.
yes. Thank you. It makes more sense to be
You're more earth toned, earth mother kind of colors.
yeah,
Forest.
like a goddess, the Terra goddess of earth or something. She's a green goddess. Yeah.
Like
So,
the green goddess salad dressing?
well, maybe. I don't know. What color green is that? I don't just all we know is it's green.
I don't know.
As long as it's green,
It's green.
working. It's working. And I think I'm even going to keep this.
You're not wearing red.
Right. I'm going to keep the wig on when I go into Trader Joe's. I'm just thinking I want to see what the experience is like to be blonde, be really blonde in Trader Joe's. So we're going to see how it goes later today.
Go experiment.
So I want you to pull up, if you don't mind. Are you able to get it on your computer? The Legally Green script that I developed for us to end the podcast episode.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So in Legally Green, we have Elle and a sad mom. And the setting is Philadelphia at a party for the Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs. I wrote this in like 7 minutes. So if there's typos or something, just ignore it. I just did it very quickly.
Okay.
Do you want to be Elle Woods or do you want to be a sad mom?
Which is speaking more to me on this day. I don't care. What do you want to do?
I think I'll be Elle. Can I be Elle? I mean, I'm wearing the wig. How about I'll be Elle?
Yeah,
and
you be
mom?
Elle. That's
okay.
fine.
Sad mom. Okay. So let's just Elle sees a sad looking woman by the potato chips and pretzels. The sad woman is sadly drinking her punch out of a plastic cup. Hi. I'm Elle Woods. What's your name?
I'd prefer not to give my name. I am in the witness protection program.
Oh, you are. Oh, well, didn't they give you a fake name then? Like something to tell people at Super Bowl parties?
Yes, I just, it just doesn't feel like my real name, so I haven't been using it.
Well, do you want me to just call you Sad Mom? Sad Mom is what you look like.
Yes, yes, please call me Sad Mom. That would be the truth.
Well, why are you sad? The Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl, and we are in this great city of Philadelphia where magic happens every day and where the Declaration of Independence was signed.
I don't think we're going to have a constitution much longer. I am just really discouraged about this world. Men always win, or always seem to win. That's why I'm so sad.
Sad Mom. I am Elle Woods, and I am an attorney who went to Harvard Law School. I strongly believe that I can turn you into Happy Mom within minutes.
Really? How?
Well, first, we're going to eat pizza. And you're going to tell me two stories in your life where men won, and I'm going to help you see things a little differently.
Elle, you seem nice and all, but you have no body fat. You're going to eat pizza. Your teeth are perfectly straight. And I just don't think one woman can change much for me, or for any of us for that matter. This masculine dominated world has been going on for centuries.
Well, my hairdresser always says men are the head, but women are the neck. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know what it means to be a neck. I feel bad about my neck. Aren't women ever everywhere getting surgery to fix their necks?
You're a tough one, Sad Mom.
So it's been said.
I know what. I'll make a bet with you. If the Eagles win this Super Bowl title, all of your problems will be solved. You'll be Happy Mom. And if we cheer loud enough, they'll win.
You are weird, and your logic seems very different from mine, but I have nothing to lose. Still, what happens if the Eagles lose? Will I be sad mom tomorrow again, too?
No, because this is a double edged bet. If the Eagles win, you'll be Happy Mom. And if the Eagles lose, we're moving you to New Orleans and I'm going to set you up in a hot pad with a pool boy. Deal?
You can do that? You would do that for me?
I sure would. I have a law degree.
Okay, just make sure the pool boy is straight because there's no point in having a gay pool boy.
Sure thing. And you'll have to marry him so he can stay in the United States.
Works for me.
End scene. Okay. Well, there's the pool boy in the movie who's gay.
I
And it's
know, which
like,
is very stereotypical, the way she's like, you know how he's gay because he knew my shoes were designer. And, obviously, it's
was
very
she?
like not great post, I don't know.
Why? There's nothing wrong with him being gay or straight.
No, it's just the way that they all are like, oh, yes, of course. Like,
Oh,
because
like a
she's
straight
like,
man wouldn't know
because, yeah,
the.
he notices her shoes. And then when she says to Warner, like, what shoes am I wearing? And he's like, oh, they're brown and whatever. And she's like, see? And then everybody's like, oh, yes, of course. Of course. Because if he was straight, he would
I
know.
love how they caught him though. That was really fun. It was
Well, I
just
do like,
funny.
yeah,
The
Luke
fashion,
Wilson. But
just
then when
weird.
Luke Wilson is like, and your boyfriend's
Yeah.
name
Your
is
boyfriend is.
Chuck.
We didn't even talk about Luke Wilson. He's pretty cute in this. I don't think he usually plays the stud, but in this movie, he was the stud. He was like the studly
Well,
guy.
he's like, but not in an overt kind of way. He's been in other movies too around that time period, like with Drew Barrymore and stuff, where I feel like he's
Oh,
the good guy
the good
who's
guy.
cute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's kind of his wheelhouse.
Yeah. If your name is Luke, you kind of win in life, I think. Luke. I don't know. I just think
Yes,
Luke is a good name.
it is.
Owen, if you're Owen, you're just stuck in Wes Anderson movies for the rest of your life.
Doing pretty well.
Or maybe Woody Allen movies, but Luke.
Mostly Wes Anderson,
All
I'd
right.
say.
I'd say. Who are you rooting for? Are you watching the Super Bowl later? And who are you rooting for? And you have to say Philadelphia, because you just have to, because people in Philadelphia will go crazy if you're not a Philadelphia Eagles fan. They
No, I'm
lose their
aware of how the
minds.
Philly fans are.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I would root for the Eagles. Since the Ravens didn't make it, and again, I have pretty much zero interest in football, but when it comes to rooting for one team or another, if I must, then yeah, I will go for the Eagles. But
Yeah.
will I even be watching it? I don't know.
Yeah. I
Probably
don't
not.
I think I probably would lose my job if I wasn't watching it, so I'm definitely going to watch it
Oh,
because
you have to keep track.
the superintendent sent a message like to just let us all know that there is school on Monday no matter what, and I was
Right.
like, who can I like show this email? This is so crazy that I'm getting an email that there's school on Monday, just so you know, because everybody's so excited about the Eagles, whether they win or lose, there's school. And then someone told me that actually it wasn't that we were going to have school like a 2-hour delay. It wasn't about people staying up late or anything. It was that there was superstition that
Mm.
if we had a 2-hour delay, they might lose, because previously, when there was a 2-hour delay, the Eagles lost the Super Bowl. So this is really just hedging the bet of,
Yeah,
if
covering
we have a
bases.
2-hour delay, that might mean they'd lose. So we're just coming to school on time. It's just a very strange. And then the mayor had to make a big announcement about, please don't climb up poles or any
I
structure.
know someone
or any
died. That's a tough one. It wasn't even the Super Bowl, and that person just like because they won the championship. I mean, I think FYI, regardless of who wins, there's going to be riots in Philadelphia. If the Eagles win, there will be mob chaos. And if they lose, mob chaos, because that's just how it goes. That's how
Yeah.
Philly be.
Yeah. It's a
And I'm
little
rooting for
nutty.
him.
Yeah. It's a little nutty. It's a
I
little nutty.
know. Stay safe out there.
I'll stay safe. Yeah. It's just safer to be an Eagles fan no matter what, whatever city you're in. I'm just making that announcement. It's just safer to be an Eagles fan. So be an Eagles fan.
Because I think people either respect you or they're scared of you. So either way, you're winning.
Yeah. And Eagles
So they're like,
land.
oh, I'm not getting involved. Philadelphia Eagles fan. Like, either way,
And if you're
I
not,
don't want to mess with you.
you just stay quiet. You just have to stay
Say
quiet.
nothing.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
as always, thank you for being my most treasured, valued, and usually my only guest, although have had a few other guests on the Ms.
of
Wonderful Film
course.
Club podcast.
Hmm.
And for this wonderful recommendation of this movie that I had a lot of fun watching, Legally Blonde. And now I might have to watch the sequel. There's a sequel and
I
apparently
know.
even a third Legally Blonde coming out in the near future. I saw they were putting
Oh,
together some ideas for a third Legally Blonde. Yeah.
interesting.
Did you see the
We'll
second
see.
one? Did you see the second one?
Yes, I did years ago. Probably when it came out.
Is it fun? Is it good? Is it worth watching?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same deal. I don't remember if I liked it. Like, it probably wasn't better than the first one. Because once you get the feel of the first one, the second one's kind of like, okay, we're playing it out, but now it's like in politics.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a good movie to watch, like mothers and daughters. I think it's like a
Yeah.
good movie night for mothers and daughters. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'd say so.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening and tuning in to the Ms. Wonderful Film Club podcast. You can find more information on mswonderful.substack.com with many, many movies to look at in terms of their themes of women, also of consciousness, and thinking about how we can view movies with a lens of consciousness. You can also find more about me and my book, Letters to a Young Woman from Paris, on my website, janamarierose.com, and that is spelled Jana marierose.com. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day.